Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make a Gateau Breton or French butter cake with apricots. So this is a Gateau Breton can simply be a single layer of cake or butter cake, but you can also put some filling. Apricots are often used, or prunes are used. You can use jams as well to go in the middle if you want to, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make one with put a layer of the batter on the bottom of a pan, spread a layer of apricots over that, and then cover that with the remaining batter and then bake it. Now it takes a little bit of time because I'm going to work slowly. I want the bottom layer to set a little bit firm so I can spread my apricots on there before I then put the top layer on as well. But I start off by greasing an 8-inch cake tin, and I'm using a springform pan, but you can use an 8-inch cake tin, which is 1.5 to 2 inches tall, something like that. And I have lined the base of mine with parchment paper as well. So I don't need that for some time. And we don't need the oven preheated yet because we've got some other things to do. So I'll go on to the ingredients first. For this I have about 100 grams, half a cup of soft dried apricots, or chopped soft dried apricots. So I chopped the apricots and that makes half a cup. I have 62 grams, 5 tablespoons of caster sugar, 160 millilitres, 2/3 of a cup of water, and 15 millilitres, a tablespoon of lemon juice. And those 4 items are for our apricot filling. And then for the Gateau Breton, I have 250 grams, which is 1 cup plus 1.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I have 250 grams, 1.25 cups of golden caster sugar. Now you can just use caster sugar, or you could use granulated sugar, but I have golden caster sugar, so I'm going to use that. I have 350 grams, which is 2 1/3 cups, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. Then I have 5 medium egg yolks. That would be large in the USA, and I have simply lightly beaten those together. And I have an additional medium egg yolk here, into which I've put 1 teaspoon, 5 millilitres of water, and I've beaten that together. I'm keeping those covered so they don't start to dry out in the heat until I need them, or before I need them. I have 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt, 15 millilitres, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and 15 millilitres, 1 tablespoon of rum. Rum is commonly used in these cakes, but if you don't want to use the rum, you can use 2 tablespoons, 30 millilitres of vanilla extract. That will be fine. So that's all the ingredients, and the first thing we need to do is to make our apricot filling. And to make the apricot filling, I want to turn these chopped soft dried apricots into a sort of puree, which can be slightly lumpy or grainy. That would be fine. So I'm going to put those into a container and pour in my 2/3 of a cup of water, and I'm going to process those with my immersion blender for as long as it takes to make a puree, basically. And that looks quite good, I think. So I'm going to put those into a pan which can go on the stove. And with that in the pan, I'm going to add in my caster sugar, and I'm going to put that onto the heat, and I'm going to cook it on a sort of medium to low heat, but a medium heat, stirring it from time to time until it dries out and I can actually pass a spoon through it, or a spatula through it, and it doesn't close up. It will become more liquid as I heat it up, and I will show you that, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's cooked through. So I have this on the heat, and I'm going to give it a stir to get that sugar mixed in, and that sugar will dissolve, and as you can see it's becoming liquidy and it's closing up. But as I heat this through, it will dry out some of that liquid and leave me with a nice puree for my filling. So I've cooked that down for about 8 minutes, and you can see that it's darkened in colour as I've been cooking it. And now if I pass a spatula through it, it's not closing up, it's leaving a nice path. So that's good enough. So I'm going to put that into a bowl, and I'm going to leave it to cool down. So with my apricot puree in a bowl, I'm going to add in my tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm just going to stir that around. I'm going to leave that to cool, and I'll put it in the fridge so that it cools that little bit quicker once it's lost a bit of its heat. So with my apricots cooling, I'm going to make the cake batter now, and for that I'm going to put my butter into a large bowl, and I'm going to use my hand mixer for this, but you can use a stand mixer or you can do it by hand, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to add in my golden caster sugar, and I'm going to cream those together for a couple of minutes until the mixture has gone nice and pale, basically. And that's good enough like that. So the next thing to do is to gradually beat in our 5 egg yolks. So I'll add those and drizzle them in a little at a time as I mix them together. I'm going to pour my vanilla and my rum into the last of the egg, just so that that loosens it, and then I'm going to whisk those in as well. And I'll add in my ½ teaspoon of salt. That's good enough. So then I'm going to add my flour in. I'll add it in 3 additions, I think, and just mix that on a low speed until it comes together. And as it does, I'll add in some more. So I'll just scrape off my whisks, and then I'll use a spatula to finish folding the mixture together. So you can see there's some flour at the bottom of the bowl, but that will easily mix in. And that's good enough like that. So I need to put half of that into my cake tin. And about half of my batter should weigh about 470 grams, something like that, I think, which is just over £1, almost £1, 1 ounce. And that's it. So I'm going to press that down and spread it over the base of my pan. So I've spread that fairly evenly into the cake tin, and I'm going to put that into the fridge. And I'm going to leave it in the fridge until it has firmed up. The butter, as the batter cools down, the butter will start to solidify within the batter and it will firm it up, and that will make it easier to spread the apricot on in a little disc, and then make it easier to cover with the remaining batter. And I'm going to leave the remaining batter out of the fridge covered up so that it's soft enough to spread when I need it. So I'll come back when the base has firmed up and I'm ready to spread the apricot filling and then cover it. And at that time I'll have my oven preheated to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with the fan, 350 Fahrenheit. So my bottom layer has firmed up nicely in the fridge, and my apricot has cooled down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my remaining dough, and I'm going to place it around the side. And this is to form a slight barrier so that I can then put the apricot in the middle. So I've spread some dough around, or batter around the edge, and that's just to create a rim which will help prevent the apricot filling from pushing to the sides once I put the remaining batter on the top. So I'm just putting the apricot filling into the centre, and I'm going to spread that over the surface just to level it off. So that's good enough like that. And what I'm going to do is, while my oven preheats, I'm going to put this into my freezer just for about 10 minutes. That will help that apricot to firm up and make it easier to spread the remaining batter over the top. So I took the cake tin out of the oven, and unfortunately I forgot to turn my camera on. But what I've done is I spread the remaining dough out onto some plastic wrap and pressed it down into a disc which is just enough to fill the pan. Then I turned it over on top of the slightly firmed apricot jam, and I've just pressed it down around the sides like that to level it off. So I apologise for not showing you that, but I forgot to turn the camera on. Once I've had a bit more practice, I'll get these right, I think. So, the last thing I'm going to do while my oven is preheating is to take my egg yolk that has a teaspoon of water in it, and I'm going to brush that all over the surface of the Gateau Breton. And this is going to make it go a nice dark brown colour as it bakes. And that's good enough, that's covering the cake. So then the last thing to do is to make a pattern. And the traditional pattern seems to be a fork scored through it, maybe in 3 lines horizontally, and then diagonally a further 3 lines to give you some diamond shapes on the top as well. So I'll do 1 line like that, and then another one halfway between that and the edge, and then on the other side, like that, and then I'll turn it and draw it diagonally like that, like that, and like that. So I have 2 diamonds there and 2 half diamonds there. And I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for 50 to 55 minutes, maybe even an hour. I want it to colour nicely on the top. It will rise up just a little bit, and it should bake very, very nicely. And at that stage, I'll take it out of the oven and I'll leave it in the tin for 15 to 20 minutes. Then I'll take the outer ring of the tin off and put it onto a wire rack to cool completely before I take it off the base. Then I'll come back and I'll show you the results. I baked my Gateau Breton or French butter cake with apricots for 55 minutes, and I tested it with a skewer, which came out clean. I then left it in the tin for 20 minutes. Then I took it out of the tin and put it onto a wire rack, and I left it to cool down. So it's cooled down now, and I'll cut a slice. So this is what the cake looks like with the slice missing. And it's baked up quite nicely. I could have perhaps baked it for a further 5 minutes, I think, but it's fine as it is. And I've already been eating it, but I'll have a taste of what's left of the slice that I cut out. It's a lovely rich cake. It's dense as it would be. There's no raising agent in it. It has that lovely fruitiness from the apricots, which sets it off very well indeed. So this isn't a difficult recipe, but it does take a little bit of time. I apologise for missing the bit where I put the top on, but that happens if you forget to turn the camera on from time to time, I suppose. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.